Make sure you think about those things because right now could be the turning point. It could be the turning point in the direction of your life that you're going. If you're noticing the same patterns, think, okay, what did I resist at that moment that this idea was presented to me, at the moment that this opportunity was presented to me, at the moment that I had to make this decision? What did I resist? And by that resistance, what did I submit to? Right. Um, if you think this way, you can determine the direction you go from here on out. Right. Say that, let me find something. Say that you don't like libraries. Something happened at a library. You maybe you saw something traumatic, so you don't like libraries. Well, so you never take your children to libraries, and every time you see a library, you say something negative about it, right? So
Mm.
now your children don't like libraries,
Yeah.
but libraries are beneficial. So that feeling or that experience, you didn't resist the suggestion to remain fearful from that event that happened in your life. So now you have children, and I'm sure like if you go somewhere else, let's say you start a business, so your employers are like, hey, I would like to go to the library, and you're like, no, don't go to the library. So that feeling that you had that you didn't resist, right now it becomes a mindset that your children have, that people that are under you have, right? Because you are putting your feeling now is it has become a part of your identity. So everybody knows, oh, she doesn't like libraries. So
Mm.
that's just an example of how it can go from generation to generation. Yeah. I didn't know that you're doing both at the same time. So
Mhm.
it really gives you a clear picture of James 4 and 7, right? Submit to God, resist the devil, and he flee. Right? You apply this to everything in your life. You apply this to the way that you think. If you don't want to think about something, then you have to resist the thought. But we don't resist the thought, right? We submit to the thought, we submit to the fear, and when you do that, that's your submission is no longer to God, it's to this thought.
Mhm.
So now you're resisting God because you're submitting to the thought. So there's always a submission happening when resistance is happening. And so I didn't know that before studying this topic, right? And so now it's like, okay, so it's not just me doing one thing, it's two things happening when you don't resist certain feelings. Um, we just have to be mindful of the things that we are accepting of. And it starts in our mind. And I just think we really, really, really should take more care of the thoughts that we allow ourselves to be submitted to. And because we have so many ways for thoughts to enter our mind now, with TV, with the stuff being on the phones now, um, we have so many ways for things to enter our mind now, more so than we did before. Before TV was able to be streamed and social media could be on the phones and all things like that. We really have to be just as diligent about what enters our mind. You know what I mean? And so I hope that just from this session, you will learn what you are submitting to, what you are resisting, and if you are resisting the right things. Because if you are resisting the right things, you are submitting yourself to the wrong things by default. Okay. And you don't want those things to intertwine with your personality because then it uses you, right, to build those strongholds in your mind to where they become mindsets and travel through the bloodline, travel through those that are influenced by you. So please identify those emotional roots. Okay, process those emotions when events happen in your life that are not favorable to you. Process them appropriately. When you start having thoughts, soon as something happened, you start having thoughts, right? You have to quickly process those thoughts. I don't want this thought. I don't want to think this way. I don't want to feel this way. Right? Go through that. Like, go, okay, I'm feeling fearful. I don't want to feel fearful. There's no need to feel. There's times where you should feel fearful as a protection mechanism, right? But then there's other times where you shouldn't, where it's like an irrational fear, right? And so stop thinking irrational thoughts if you don't want to feel an irrational fear. You have to start resisting those thoughts. That means you have to oppose those thoughts, not just say, I don't want to think this way. You have to do something with the thoughts that you're thinking, right? And so a lot of times we say things, but we're not actually doing the thing that we're saying because we're allowing the thoughts of the thing that we don't want to do to keep playing in our minds, right? And so we have authority and we have power over our mind. We have authority and power over our feelings, right? But there is a space where you can give over that authority to something else, right? And you allow this whole other personality to start thinking for you and feeling for you, and you're accepting of it. And if you do that for a long period of time, now you have a whole other personality that has came up out of you, right? And that can cause all types of mental issues and disorders and diseases as well, right? So we're kind of getting, hopefully, catching some of this stuff before it gets to that point, right? And so I'm grateful to God for uh, giving me this knowledge and this wisdom and this understanding. And so, in that gratefulness, I am being obedient to share it with you all so that even if you know someone that is struggling mentally, um, you can pretty much find the root of it if you get to the feelings and the emotions that were not processed. Because a lot of times, a lot of things are rooted in a traumatic event or something that has happened. And in that moment, the thoughts and the feelings were allowed to just go whichever way they wanted to go. And they were just accepting of it, not knowing that they had authority. A lot of people don't know that they have authority over their mind and over their thoughts. A lot of people think that they just have to think the thoughts, right? They don't know that they can resist the thoughts and replace them with ones they want to think, right? Same way with feelings. A lot of people don't even know feelings are temporary. In that moment, and we've all been in these moments where we thought we were going to always feel a certain way until we didn't, right? And so I've learned that when I'm feeling a negative feeling, to number one, this is temporary. Like, I'm not going to make this permanent because I know what it can do if I make it permanent, right? It's going to start affecting my behavior, right? That's what happens. You feel a way and you act on what you feel because you agree that I'm going to always feel this way. So, how would it change your behavior if you first said, this feeling is temporary? I'm not going to act on this temporary feeling. How would that change the way you responded to things, right? If you resisted that feeling and chose to think the way that you wanted to think so that you can feel the way you wanted to feel. How would that change your life? How would that change the way that you view your purpose and operate in your purpose?